here we are. The family grave. Not just family grave.
That's right.
The family grave.
There's only one of us.
There's only one of you, and you are John.
I am.
John, thank you for meeting me. Welcome to Mystery UFOs Behind the Playlist. And you are here to tell us all about your music, all about what you do, how you've been doing it. Basically, we dive in to who you are. That is my intention, really. I mean, we can all hear the music and everything. It's great, and we'll talk about it. But who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you is the biggest question. So let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I'm a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
My name's John. I play under the name The Family Grave.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for probably about 6 or so years. Family Grave is really just a vehicle for my songwriting. I started out doing what I did in my previous band, which was called the Hiawatha Telephone Company, which is really just playing my own songs, me and my guitar, thinking that they were being recorded as demos for other people maybe to record at some point. Well, nobody really ever did. And after doing that for some time, I decided I needed a name change, something fresh. So I'd taken this photograph of gravestone at the community graveyard here in Brighton, and I just noticed the words "The Family Grave" on it, and I thought, ooh, that could be a band name. So I pocketed that away for a few years, in fact. And then when I was ready for a band name change, I became The Family Grave. So it's basically me and my songs, but I bring in. I'm very lucky to have some really good friends who play on the music with me, on the records with me. So it's really a bit of a band now, but it's a bit of a random band. Whoever is around at the time and wants to contribute.
Available.
Yeah.
So tracks that we hear that will have other instruments, it's basically ad hoc. Whoever was available, that's what happened.
Yeah, I have Martin who plays under the name M Butterfly is my regular compadre, really, and he's kind of, I consider him a core band member. Pete's played drums on the last album and the new album that we've recorded. I first saw him play with Lawrence Collier in the Diamond Family Archive, and I was always really impressed with his drumming. And I just put a note out to friends, really just saying, look, I'm going to record some more music. If anyone's interested in contributing, put your hand up, say yay. And Pete did, and I was delighted because I loved his drumming, I loved his style, so that was really great. And then there's a few other people who have contributed along the way as well.
It's great. It's great that you've got those connections and they just come. Love it when a plan comes together.
I think it's a bit random, but I quite like randomness in life. I think you just got to go with whatever life throws at you, and that's kind of what I do. But I suppose the other lesson is, if you don't ask, you don't get. So just ask, see what comes. You never know. The next person who says they're free and wants to contribute, it could be the best thing you've ever had, really. So I like seeing what comes and just flowing with it, really.
So when did your musical journey begin? Because I know of you, obviously, since I started the radio, and I think the first track you sent was The Immigrant.
Okay, yeah.
I looked back, yeah, and that was for me, a very poignant song coming from someone, okay, this person's quite interesting, because I think we're jumping around a bit. We're going to get to that later about what's your process of songwriting. But when did it start? Because it's before The Immigrant, surely.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find too many recordings before that. So did you dabble but had another job,
I'm not a professional. I don't make money from my music, really, and it's not enough to make a living from it. So, I have a full-time job. So what I do is really, it's in my spare time when I get time. And I've been doing it. I was a late starter. I wasn't playing music. I was a big fan of music. Listened to a load of music when I was young. But I didn't really pick up a guitar till I was in my 30s. And it's funny. One of the videos I made from the last album, Caroline, it's shot on Shore and Beach. And it's got a picture of this guitar, which is a broken up guitar, which has been decoupaged and collaged. And I found that guitar in a bin on the Hackney Road in London years and years ago. And for years, I didn't know what to do with it. I thought it was an art piece, so I decoupaged it myself. Didn't have any of that on it.
I love that word. I said it twice now, decoupaged.
I love it. Yeah,
That's such a good word.
We should all be decoupaged. So the guitar was decoupaged. It was treated as a piece of art, really. But it had 3 or 4 strings still on it from when somebody got really angry and smashed it against the wall and thrown it in its bin. And it was just sitting there, and one day I just started picking it up and started strumming and thinking, this actually sounds okay. I could actually do something with this. And so I started teaching myself chords, doing covers as you do, and then started writing songs myself. And we just started from that. My first album was recorded under the name Hiawatha Telephone Company. It was called Harry Smith. Harry Smith was my father. And Harry Smith was basically a collector of old 78 recordings back in the 50s. And he put out this really famous box set collection of just sort of folk recordings, really, that he'd come across and compiled. It was very, very influential at the time. It was a great, great thing. But the idea was Harry Smith was my father. Well, obviously, he wasn't my father, but the spirit, his, picking up songs, folk music, kind of other people's music, and then recreating it and kind of making it your own, was very much the spirit. I always I think I said in an interview at one point that I feel very much like those old blues singers sitting on their porch with a bottle of whiskey. Well, I was sitting on my sofa at home with a bottle of beer. But it's kind of there's a similarity. There's a kind of a synergy there that kind of comes together.
Yeah, I have to say, I always felt when you started sending your music that there's like a Tom Waits vibe going on in your storytelling and how you choose to talk about what you do. And yeah, very folky. And we have to listen.
Yeah.
You're telling us a story, and it's a poignant story. There's a message, and you take us on a journey, and that's always how I felt when you send the songs through.
Well, that's great, because that's definitely part of the intention. There's a lot of work goes into the lyrics. I do like strong lyrics in songs. I'm not a pop songwriter. That's really, some of my songs are quite catchy, I think, but that's not really my thing. My thing, I always think about the lyrics. I want them to resonate with people. I want people to remember the words, listen to the words, listen hard, really.
So you picked up the guitar. I've got the word now. You decoupaged it.
I decoupaged it. Broken up guitar, yes.
You picked up the guitar, you decoupaged it, you learned some chords, and then you started writing? Or did you always write poetry?
I did write poetry when I was younger. So I've always had an interest in words and kind of thought of myself as a writer, but never really written much of substance. So yeah, poetry I was at home with. And then the way I started writing was I picked up the guitar and started strumming chords, and you start off with cover versions, that's the easiest thing, but then you start putting your own chords together. And so I kind of then just added some words to that, and it kind of fell into place. And I thought it was starting to work. And I did this for years and had this kind of book collection of things I had written, and then thought, actually, I quite like these. I probably ought to just put them down for posterity. So I went into another studio in Kemp Town. Literally, it was me, my guitar, 5 hours, 15 songs, bang, done, job done. Very, very simple, very plain. And that was the first Hiawatha Telephone Company album, called Harry Smith Was My Father. And that's really all that was, just me and my guitar, putting down these songs that I'd had sitting around for a few years, really. And it kind of carried on with that. But I was very lucky that I met my friend Martin, who plays under the name Men Butterfly, actually at a gig that we were both playing. We were both on the same bill. And he really liked what I was doing. And he came up and spoke to me afterwards and said, I'd really like to do something with you if you fancy it. And then a little while later, I had another collection of songs, which I thought, about time I record this. And I mentioned it to Martin. He said, well, look, come around my flat and I'll record it for you. And he did. It was recorded on tape because he's really into that, and that was his thing, which was a problem because it kind of meant, it was nice, but it was a problem because tape is not very giving. And once you record things on tape, you're kind of stuck with what it is, and you can't do all the kind of jiggery pokery you can do when you've got a studio like this and all the controls at your disposal. So it is what it is. And I like the album. I think the songs are great, but it's decidedly lo-fi. That's okay. Martin also played a bit on the album, which was fantastic. Had a violinist called Maria, who is superb. She contributed some parts to the album as well. So it's got a little bit more variety, and I started building it up in a style which I always thought it's a little bit like someone like Bill Callahan or Bonnie Prince Billy, who also do a similar thing. They kind of very much solo songwriters, but then they bring in people to add flavour and a little bit extra to their recordings.
So quite a journey from your guitar from a skip to your living room, looking at it, to then fixing it, to then learning chords, then yourself in the studio, then in someone's living room, and here we are. Look at that behind you.
I know, this is like great, isn't
you're
it?
now at the top end, isn't it, of recording.
Church Road Recording will be very pleased you consider them top end. But it's good. It's definitely it's at a different level, really. And having Paul Pascoe help me record stuff in the studios, it's been brilliant, really, because he's just such a professional and knows his way around the studio. So it makes the whole thing sound much better. But I've definitely been on a journey, and it's I kind of like that. I like that about recordings. It wouldn't be the same if they'd all started off the same thing, and they're developing and emerging. And the new, I mean, certainly, started off thinking myself very much as a folk singer, me, my guitar, my songs. Then it became a little bit more with Martin and Maria adding a bit more flavour. So there was a bit of an indie group kind of feel to it, but not a lot. Still quite folky, singer-songwriter type thing. That carried on with the first Family Grave album, Everybody Is Flawed, which was in a very similar vein, really, recorded onto tape very simply. Most of the songs recorded in a single day again. But then I decided to do things a little differently. It was really lockdown that kind of freed me up in a way, because it just gave me a bit more time, as it gave all of us. Yeah. And at the end of the first lockdown, Paul was mentioning he had some space time in the studio available for friends if they're interested. And so I said, look, I've got this bunch of songs now, new songs I've had sitting around for quite a while. And I think they deserve a bit better than my usual style of recording, so maybe we can give it a try. That was also a real learning process, because I'd never really been in a proper studio before. I didn't know what to do. Paul didn't really know how it was going to work, so he was testing out lots of different ways of recording me. But we gradually developed a style that kind of that did come together, and Martin came along and played some stuff. I had a friend, Simon Adams, come and play some drums on some tracks, and that became the Happy Songs album.
Wow, wait a minute, you're racing forwards, because you're going to perform for us today, and you're going to give us an acoustic version of one of your songs, and you've mentioned one of them already that you're going to...
I have.
Yeah.
The first song I'm going to play is essentially the title track from the first Family Grave album, Everybody Is Flawed. And it is what it is. It's compassion towards humanity, because we're all flawed individuals, really. And so fundamentally, that's what drives the song.
We don't like to admit it.
No, we don't.
But we are. And that is something I found with the titles of a lot of your songs, and we'll get to that as we go through. But everyone is flawed. You're like, really? Yeah, guess so. Okay, what does he have to say about it? And we are about to hear what you have to say about it. So here we go. Yes, change of, and into the studio you go.
Thank you. This first song is called Everybody Is Flawed. It's the title track from the first Family Grave album. Took your fire, wouldn't stoke it. She took my rib and you broke it. Bruised my lips so I couldn't say a word. Scratched my cheek and you broke my toe. Everybody is flawed. Everybody gets hurt. Everybody is dumb sometimes, and some people get cursed. Everybody deserves to fail sometimes. Everybody deserves to get lost. I'm not gonna get it right every time. and sometimes I'll pay the cost. So I guess I couldn't see you when I shut my eyes. Guess I couldn't feel at all while you fell on the inside. I like to think I'll wear another person's shoes sometimes, but sometimes they're just not my size. Guess I couldn't feel what they felt or see inside their mind. Everybody is flawed. Everybody gets hurt. Everybody gets down sometimes, and everybody's done worse. Sometimes I'm gonna feel so bad. Sometimes I'm gonna wanna get lost. Sometimes I'll be eaten up inside, and sometimes I'll pay the cost.
Cool. Great. That was wonderful. Thank you for that performance. And where we go next is that we left with talking about the names of your songs. And this is definitely, this is a complete compliment for you. There are, as they are written there are, as in, I'm trying to say, is what you get on the tin, in a sense. You see the song title, and that's what the song is about. Do you find that helps your process in writing?
I didn't start out this way, I don't think, or at least it wasn't intentional, but I am a very literal songwriter.
Right.
I like plain speaking. I like to say what I mean. I like people being clear. It annoys me when people aren't clear about, just in life, talking about things. And I mean, I admire metaphor. I love a lot of the songs I really love use metaphor beautifully in poetry and so on. And I suppose some of my songs do a bit of that, but quite a lot of them are very direct. There's an intention there. I want to be talking about a certain subject. I want to be singing a song that has that kind of gravitas and meaning.
And when it came to The Flawless Man, what brought you to that? Was it an experience with a friend or a personal one?
Say that again. Which
the one you just performed?
Oh, Everybody is Flawed.
Sorry, I called it The Flawless Man.
Yes.
Because man, as in the global,
as in we man. Are all.
That's how I'm
I
getting
suppose
out
one of the other things that I like in songwriting is when it was Green from the band Scritti Politti that taught me this, actually. I think I read an interview with him years and years ago where he talked about his song The Sweetest Girl, which just has this wonderful way of marrying the personal with the political. I mean, there's a line in there about, I can't remember what it is, but it's something about industry failing and collapsing and so on. But the song itself is about the sweetest girl. It's a love song, really. But it just uses that combination of the kind of the real world and political world, and brings it home to what is personal. And, personal stuff is political, I believe that. And everything we do in some ways has meaning, or it can do. No, I think everything has meaning, really. So I find there's a lot of that. And so Everybody is Flawed is very much, it has that kind of bigger, grander meaning, and it's looking out there at humanity and saying, look, just just be human, be compassionate, recognise that we all fail at some point. Nobody's going to be perfect.
Was there a trigger to that?
Not particularly. I think it's more just a general sense of my philosophy about life, really. But then I wanted to bring it home, and it is also about a relationship. It's very much, a man talking to a woman, really, and and all the kind of ins and outs of relationships as well. So
see, I'm completely in tune, which is why I renamed it The Flawless Man.
Yes.
There we go. And then you started talking briefly, and I stopped you, but we can get onto it now. The love albums, the love songs, but you also made an album, Happy Songs, which came before the love songs.
Indeed.
Right? I have to say, when you released it just after COVID, isn't it?
It was, yeah, 2022.
Just after COVID, because I remember when it came through, and I thought, oh yes, just the title was engaging enough for me to go, yes, please. And we were all ready for a bit of that, weren't we?
We were, although it's I wouldn't say it's a happy album.
Yes, yeah.
That's so true. The title is definitely slightly ironic. But there was an intent. Again, there was an intent there. The first song, Happy Song, says it's so easy to write, to sing a sad song. There's so many sad songs to sing. That's the opening words of the album.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely the spirit I wanted to bring. It's like, look, there's so many sad songs out there. It's easy to sad songs. Let's not dwell only in the sadness, which obviously we'd all been through with COVID. It was a tough time for a lot of people. But it's saying, look, there's hope for humanity. There's better stuff out there. And that was very much the spirit. It was about, look, there are loads of sad songs. We can sing sad songs till our heart's content. But, let's focus on Happy Song as well. And it's that song, Happy Song, was obviously the first song on the album. And it's kind of, it summarises the spirit of the whole album.
I think it got the most plays.
But the album,
even for me, when I was playing on the show, I was like, I'll go for Happy Song. It's really a really good intro, like you say, to the album. And let's promote it that way. And the title, it's hard not to, it's lovely to say a title. Sometimes there's songs that come through and I'm like, oh, I just like saying the title. It's really fun. So
there was, interestingly, there were three things, I say, that influenced that song. One was that song Happy that was around years ago, a few years ago. It was just everywhere.
Yes, it was.
Fantastic song. Loved it. Exactly. That's the one. I love it. But I obviously, that's not my style. I didn't write that. There was a Captain Beefheart song that I'd always loved, and I actually have covered from time to time, called Happy Love Song, which was also a big influence on that song, just in terms of the style. And I think I tried to cover the song, and it probably influenced the tune or the melody a little bit. But the other thing that influenced the song was a line from that great Tolstoy novel. The line is essentially saying, fundamentally, happy people all look the same. When we're smiling, we're happy, we're laughing. It's hard to distinguish people. But when people are sad, they're sad in their own specific way. And I think it talks more about family rather than individuals, but I kind of relate that to individuals. And so I wanted to include that, and that's also part of the lyric as well. So it's kind of got these various influences that melded together into this one song.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a really wonderful journey to listen to, and I kid you not, put it on when I'm feeling a bit contemplating myself, and I'm like, I think it's time for happy songs. Definitely time for happy songs, because you take us through a kind of meditative type of thoughtful journey, which is needed sometimes. It helps you kind of stop and take stock a little bit.
Yeah, well. There's another song on the album, When You're on Your Own, which was very much came from that spirit of just trying to wanting to talk to someone who maybe felt very sad, very isolated, not really wanting to engage with people. So I wanted to write a song that was for them, that they could kind of listen to and think, yeah, actually, that's how I feel. But it didn't end by saying, yes, we're all sad, you're sad, stay sad.
Yeah,
it wasn't that. It's more like, yeah, you're sad, recognise the sadness. And then once you recognise you're sad, there's an opportunity to grow out of it, really.
Yeah, for sure. And then came love songs.
Yeah.
Which is it's kind of a...
Well, I should explain
nice journey on that one.
What I came to Paul in 2021, I guess, when we started recording Happy Songs. I said, look, I've got this idea. I want to record 3 albums. I've got these great songs called, this collection called Happy Songs, which I actually wrote some years before, but I thought the songs were really great. And Didn't want to do that usual thing of just me and my guitar on tape. I wanted something better. So I said, I've got these, we'll record those. And that's the Happy Songs album. And I said, I've got this idea for this other album called Love Songs, which is going to be a collection of love songs, but not quite like normal love songs. I haven't written it yet, but I'm going to write it. I've decided. And I did. And that was what we recorded. And then we released that last year. And that was Songs About Love. And I said, and then there's a third album that I'd also like to record, which is old songs, because I've got this book of all these old songs that I just haven't got around to recording yet. And I actually think there's some really good ones in there. And that's the main body of what we recorded last year and have been kind of getting ready for release this year now. And it may not be called Old Songs. It may be called something a bit like that. Possibly Old Songs for Kids. I haven't decided yet. And
we're getting a bit of a sneaky peek, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
But not yet.
Not yet. We'll come back to that.
There's something else coming up, isn't there?
Yeah. And the reason why there were 3 albums, I should finish that story, is that I'd said, look, I've got happy songs, I've got love songs, I've got old songs, because I've really got this idea that it's going to end up being a box set of 3 albums, happy old love songs. But it sounds perfect. I don't know whether it ever will be released as a box set.
I love that.
There is some vinyl available if people want it, but
you have to do it.
That's the idea.
Happy
or happy old love songs.
Happy old love songs. Yes.
It's got a nice ring.
It definitely.
And that also sums up what the Family Grave does. Happy old love songs. That's kind of at the end, that's the core of it.
That's brilliant. So what's the second song you're going to perform?
This is definitely a love song. It's from the album The Family Grave Plays Songs About Love. Yeah. And it's, in some ways, the most classic love song that I've probably ever written. And it's called Loving Is Easy. And it's dedicated to my wife mainly, because she makes loving easy.
I'm really pleased. I was sitting here thinking, he's mentioned the love song. Is it going to ask, or is he going to give it away? Yes. The wife is mentioned. What's the wife's name?
Annie.
Annie. So this was dedicated to Annie. And how long have you been together?
Oh, a long time.
Oh, a long time. We're not going to say years.
I'm not going to say years, but yeah, it's lasted.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations that it lasted. And it's a fantastic song. I'm really looking forward to hearing it acoustically and live for the interview. So thank you for doing that.
Great. No problem.
All right, changing the sunnies. And off you go. Are we dedicating it to Annie today?
Yeah, let's dedicate.
Let's
Loving Is Easy. This is for Annie.
Yay!
This is Loving Is Easy. It's a song taken from my latest release, which is called The Family Grave Plays Songs About Love. So, Loving Is Easy. Loving is easy. Take these grapes and turn them into wine. Treat every day like it's the summertime. Come rain or shine, it will be fine. Loving is easy. Loving is easy. There's some good even in the people you despise. The sun comes back and the sea will always rise. Just make her laugh until she has to wipe her eyes. Loving is easy. Loving is easy. Imagine being together all the time. I'd kiss you gently if you were mine. Take a memory and make it last a lifetime. Loving is easy. Doesn't have to be as hard as it can seem. Some things will just work out fine. Doesn't have to feel like it might not be real, 'cause loving you is easy all the time. Loving is easy. Believing you, try and believe in me. Look in your heart and you can be free to see the world as it was meant to be. Loving is easy.
Fabulous. Great. I was going to ask, and I without it being too intrusive, but I did go back on your socials, and you have had a loss, and I'm really, really sorry to hear about or to read about the loss of your mum. But what you did share was very interesting, and I wanted to, with your permission, dive into it a little bit more because
Yeah, that's fine.
She had quite an influence on your music education growing up. You mentioned it in one of your posts.
You know, actually, when I was younger, I didn't think she did. I mean, when I grew up in my house, we didn't have a big hi-fi system or a record player or a big record collection. We had an 8-track cartridge player, which my dad got because he worked with the car and motor industry, I think, and it was just on offer at the time. And so, you know, we had a very limited set of 8-track cartridges to play. And I don't know if you know anything about 8-track cartridges, but they basically divided an album into 4. There were 4 tracks on this massive, chunky, it wasn't a cassette, but it was a bit like a cassette, and you stuck in this machine.
This is pre-cassette.
I think they probably were. They didn't last very long. They're quite, I mean, they're quite cool and trendy, but they shouldn't be because the sound quality is terrible. And they split albums that were designed to be heard in 2 sides into 4. So they would literally split songs in half at certain points if it needed to work that way to fit. So they're really terrible. It's a terrible, terrible way of listening to music. But that's what I grew up with. We had an 8-track cartridge player with a bundle of popular classical 8-track cartridges, which I never listened to. And I really grew up with 2 8-tracks when I was young, at least, that I really loved, that my parents had. One was the Everly Brothers' Greatest Hits, and the other was Petula Clark's Hit Parade. I love Petula Clark, one of the greatest English female singers, probably one of the greatest English singers up there. You know, her and Dusty Springfield are the 2 Queens of England, really, from the 1960s, I would say. And that was it, though. That was my musical education. Interestingly, I then developed my own independent education, got into a lot of primarily indie music, but a lot of great 60s songwriters as well. And that was very much, you know, my thing, I suppose. But my mother was always interested in music, and it was very interesting. When my dad died, she started helping out with old people's homes. She was quite old herself, but she always used to say she was, you know, helping the old folk. And one of the things she ended up doing was putting on these music shows for the elderly. And she had a big collection of music on cassette and CD at that time. And she'd compile these shows for the elderly, and she'd just take people through and say, you know, this is so and so, this is so and so, and they're all kind of classic singers, the Bing Crosbys, there's been Maria Callas, Elvis Presley. You know, she'd range. It's that sort of the classic 40s, 50s, maybe a little bit the 60s, the stuff that she remembered hearing and loved. And I knew she did this. And then after she died, I found one of her playlists. And I put it together. I've put it together as a Spotify playlist. And I think I'm going to try and publicize it a bit more, actually. It's really good. I mean, I have to say, I am blown away by how much thought went into the songs she chose and just the way they sat together. It's a great listen. It's like, you know, an hour or so of classic 40s, 50s, and 60s singers and their songs, and just some really great songs, and loads of surprises in there as well. It's full of unexpected treats. It's great. And my mother did lots of this, actually, but I've got this one playlist that I'm going to kind of try and promote. So she wasn't a musician in any respect, a bit like me, really. She was a music fan, music lover, but just wanted to find a way of expressing that, and that was her way.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I was very curious. I was hoping you wouldn't mind sharing a bit more from what you posted, so thank you for doing that. Would you consider carrying on in her footsteps in a sense of on the gigging side? Because you mentioned earlier that you gigged and then you met the drummer that you worked with, which is great because there's nothing like networking, isn't it?
Yeah,
And gigging
yeah.
at the same time. So you gig often in Brighton?
No,
or-
not at all, not
No.
anymore. I used to play a lot of open mics, and I used to do a few gigs, occasional gigs. I haven't really been gigging recently for a while. I mean, I wouldn't mind picking up again, but it's just there's so many people in Brighton who are out there trying to play music, so it's quite competitive, and I just haven't gone that way, which is a shame because I think if you're a musician, you know, performance is part of the art, and I think it's a great way to hone your songwriting and your songs. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to promote your music. So, you know, I'd absolutely recommend it, but it's not something I do very often. I'm definitely open to invites. Yeah, I met Martin, who's kind of the main kind of supporter in my place. He plays a bit of everything, but in particular bass, guitar, and keyboards on my albums. And I met him at something called the Bleeding Hearts Club, where we were both performing. It was a regular once a month type thing that was put on some friends of mine really in the start off in the Prince Albert. In fact that's where I met Paul, my engineer.
Prince Albert of Brighton.
At the the Bleeding Hearts Club. So that was a great little event. I used to love those little clubs that people put together, just ramshackle bunch of random musicians who were just doing interesting things, writing interesting songs, and people just come together to listen to them, which was lovely.
Yeah. So that's that. If that comes back, that's what you're looking for.
I think that's the idea.
I think that's the folk, and that's the folk atmosphere as well. Let's be honest. I mean, that's where folk comes from.
It's very much the folk tradition. It's what the old folk clubs in the 60s were.
You need to be in the pub, in a corner. Actually, a couple of years ago, I was working in Oxford for the summer, and I came across this pub one evening, and literally in the corner, and there were youngsters as well, just sitting there with their instruments round the table, playing folk music, and they, people bought them beers. And it was such a wonderful atmosphere. We ended up staying there for quite a few hours, and it was great.
It is lovely. I mean, it doesn't have to be old folk songs. I mean, I consider what I write contemporary folk music, which may or may not be, people may or may not agree with that, but I think it is. It's kind of, it's got that kind of depth of meaning, the emotion, but also the simplicity. I mean, it is something that you could play in the corner of a pub or in your own living room. And it's not out of place. You don't need to be in a big studio. You don't need to have a band or be on a big stage.
The roots of music.
Yeah, I love that intimacy. Really do.
Yeah. And that brings us to the new album that you're working on now. Tell us a bit more of that, because we're getting a little sneaky peek today, which is very exciting.
This was the album. Conceptually was supposed to be old songs. It was supposed to be a collection of songs that I just tucked away and just never got around to recording, even though I actually thought they were quite good, but I just, for whatever reason, never really pulled them together. That was the original idea. And then I wrote, so there were a couple of new songs that kind of found their way onto the album as well. And I thought it was going to be quite a random collection. And in some ways it is, because it's quite different from the albums I've put out so far. It's got a lot more variety in the tunes and the music on the album, a lot more rocky in places, some really powerful rock songs, I think, where Martin lets loose with some really great guitarists, which I love, and I've got Pete on drums, doing some great work. And then, but it's also got some of those sensitive, more folky things as well. It's a real mix. I mean, I see it as it's a bit like, well, I guess I associate with people like, I mean, Leonard Cohen is maybe someone who I think is in the similar spirit, certainly vocally similar vein, and the way he constructed albums, again, groups of random people that he brought in to play on particular albums, that fits. I also hear a lot of one of my favourite albums of all time, which is The Velvet Underground's Loaded. There's quite a lot of that sensibility, I think, in the way the album's constructed as well. So they're not, I thought they were going to be quite random songs, but actually, again, very much in my style. There's a lot of purpose, a lot of intent behind them.
And I love how throughout us chatting today, you mention the word album rather than single or EP. And I love that, because I actually missed that in the last few decades, that musicians have gone through, to EPs and singles. And I understand the industry is changing, but there's nothing, it's like a good book. Yeah. There's nothing like listening to an album from beginning to end, because usually when it's constructed, like you say, there's a purpose, there's a storyline. If you really listen, you'll get that.
I still listen to albums from start to finish. Sure. I love that. And I definitely design my music with that sense. Each album feels like it's in a particular time and place, and the songs sit well together. It's easy, a lot of people, they record their music at home these days, so of course you can do one song at a time. And with Bandcamp, Spotify, and all the rest, Apple Music, it's easy to put out whatever you record literally the next day, and you can do that. So I understand why people have taken that approach, but I love an album, I love a collection of songs, and that's the way I think about it, and it's the way I work.
Fantastic. And when's the collection coming out?
Still got to make a video or two, which is fun. Again, something that I experiment with. I'm learning new skills as I go.
Learning and growing.
Part of the fun.
That's what I say. That's what I say to
exactly.
people. Learning, growing. I was told, someone said to me, "Oh, when you start this project, Mr. UFO behind the playlist, and you have to have a style." And I'm like, I'm more of an experimentalist. I'm a person that learns on the go. If I don't do, I don't learn. I can't decide, I'll do it that way and stick. So every interview, I'm starting to, playing with the camera, playing with the editing. It's all there, but hey, you develop your style as you go, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how I like that journey personally.
You are
so nice
you are what you do. You're not something, you're not innately born to be one particular thing. None of us are. So unless you do things, you don't become that thing or that person. And when you do things, I find I think it's good being open to the randomness of life, really, and seeing what comes. And I don't know whether I'll ever become a proper video maker, but I like the videos I've produced. I think they're cool and they work really well.
Absolutely, I completely subscribe to that, and I think especially in the creative life, you never know what's around the corner and who you're going to meet and what is going to come to be. So doing it with a labour of love, like you are, is way more fulfilling.
Exactly.
Really, isn't it? Thank you so much for meeting me today.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been more than a pleasure. I think we could talk for longer than this, but I'm looking at the time and I think, let's bring it to a close. But we will meet again, I'm sure. But until then, thank you so much, the Family Grave, for talking with me on Mr. UFO's Behind the Playlist, because you're on my playlist.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we're going next door, aren't you? You're going to play which song of the upcoming album?
This is one of the old songs that I actually have played a lot live and really loved it, but never got around to recording it properly. I did record an acoustic video version, which is on my my YouTube channel a few years ago now. But we decided to do it for the new album as a full band version. So the album I'm going to play for you now, the version I'm going to play for you now is just me and my guitar again. So that's very much the acoustic mold. On the new album, it will sound very different. I think it sounds great. It's much rockier, much more powerful. It's going to be the first song on the album, probably the first single too. Great. So we get a sneaky peek and there's more to come. Love that. Off you go then. Thank you. Thanks. Right, this last song's called Sweet Charity. It's going to be the opening song of my forthcoming album, which will be out this summer. It's an old song, but I love playing it. Sweet Charity. Oh, sweet charity, come and put your hand in mine. Oh, sweet charity, come and take the pennies from my eyes. You don't seem to grow any older. At least you look the same to me. Don't ever change or grow colder. No, sweet charity. Oh, my darling, keep that smile upon your face. Oh, my darling, you put me in my place. You don't seem to grow any older. At least you look the same to me. Don't ever change or grow colder. Oh, no, sweet charity. Clouds are coming and the rain is on its way. Clouds are dark and black. No hope of sun today. But you love me in the morning, oh, and you bring the sun to me. Oh, don't ever change or grow colder. Oh, no, sweet charity. Oh, darling, come and put your hand in mine. Oh, darling, come and take the pennies from my eyes. Don't seem to grow any older. Oh, at least you look the same to me. Oh, don't ever change or grow colder. Oh, no, sweet charity. No, sweet charity. No, sweet charity. Back on my glasses.
I just remembered you did talk about your collaborations. When you come to the studio, who is on time and who is always late?
Ooh. Actually, I think we're pretty good.
No, we want juice here. Stop being nice. Come on, bring it up.
I mean, when we got together last summer for the new album sessions, I mean, obviously I was on time. Paul's always on time. He's there setting up when we arrive. Pete was on time because actually he lives in Devon, so he was spending a weekend in Brighton, and I'd actually picked him up from where he was staying to bring him to the studio, so he had no way of making excuses. Martin probably is the last in, just because he's a busy guy and he often cycles or walks places.
No, we're not giving them excuses. So Martin's the one that's late.
I think so,
Okay.
yeah. He won't mind me.
Lovely.
Pointing at him.
Martin, be on time. And when you're all together and the creativity is flowing, everything's recording and wonderful stuff is happening, what fuels you? What do you eat and what do you drink?
Oh, goodness. We have a little kitchen in the studio, which is mainly used for a glass of water and for coffee. Decent coffee that Paul buys in. We usually take a break, and because Tesco isn't too far away, the Tesco Happy Meal is the regular thing, I would say.
What? Happy Meal, yeah, the meal deal.
The meal deal thing, yes,
Yeah,
not Happy Meal. That's a McDonald's thing, isn't it?
one,
Sorry,
yeah.
I shouldn't mention these.
There's nothing like a meal deal. When I tour abroad, there is no meal deal. And sometimes it's just like they are missing a trick here. Why is there no meal deal?
And I've got my favourites. I mean, I always go for chicken sandwiches, and I always go for, well, actually, sometimes it's chocolate, sometimes it's crisps.
Okay.
You know, you get that healthy fruit juice alongside, or coconut water, which I love. So
I love how you say chocolate crisps. A healthy fruit juice.
Yes, that's right.
Just to balance it
Just to
out.
get balance. I'm all about the balance.
Just so that when you go to the doctor next time, yes, I'm eating my 5 a day in the form
That's
of fruit
right.
juice.
Well, at least a couple of them. Maybe not all 5.
Fantastic. Great. Wonderful.